Perhaps the most valuable acquisition the Texans made this offseason, not just this year, but for a long time moving forward. Let's talk about the value of Texan safety Jimmie Ward here in the locker room.
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize
DeMeco Ryans brought Jimmie Ward with him from San Francisco, and Jimmie Ward might be in the building at NRG long after he leaves. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm your host, Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central on the Odyssey app and Sports Radio 610, which happens to be the home of the Texans. Jimmie Ward, let's talk about the value of Jimmie Ward as a free agent signing. We talked about this when it first happened. If you missed the video, you can go back and watch that. But the value of Jimmie Ward, there's so many layers to this, and I don't know that you can find a guy that can bring more to the table than Jimmie Ward. A lot of times when you sign a free agent, the value is just based strictly on performance. And around here, guys that have been considered culture guys, a lot of times they just suck. Like they're not good, and a lot of their value is over romanticized. No disrespect to Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead was a culture guy last year that just couldn't play anymore. And at that point, you begin wondering, okay, are they over romanticizing the culture at the sake of the actual performance and what he brings to the table? And in the case of Jimmie Ward, I called this tangible culture guy when the Texans first brought him in, because I think his value, it's beneficial short-term, and I think it could be beneficial long-term. And whether he performs or not, which I expect him to perform, I expect him to be an upgrade at the other safety position, he can still be a very valuable resource no matter what. So let's just go through the value of Jimmie Ward and start with the on-field stuff. On-field, Jimmie Ward is a guy who was in the NFL's top 100 a couple of years ago. He's been a nickelback elite as a nickelback. He's also been a very good safety in the league. So on-field, you're getting a guy that can do a lot of things. You're getting a guy that can cover a lot of ground. You're getting a guy that's been performing in the NFL for 10 years. He's played for a lot of different coaches, a lot of different systems. He was in San Francisco with Harbaugh. He was there with Tom Sula. He was there with Chip Kelly, and he was there with Kyle Shanahan. He played for Robert Saleh. He's played for DeMeco Ryans. He's battle-tested. So he knows what DeMeco Ryans wants, and on the field, he's performed at a high level. You just look at the experience that he has as a player. It's next level. You cannot teach that much experience. And on field, he's going to be an upgrade at safety. And the intangibles are also what I think is valuable, to where there's value there no matter how he performs. This is a guy who's played for 2 one-and-done coaches. Any third-year guy on the Texans right now has done the same thing. So he can go over to the 2022 draft class, our 2021 draft class, and he can say, man, I know this is your third coach in as many years. I know that sucks, but hey, I've been there. Nico Collins, I've been there, man. I know that's tough. 3 different coaches, but you know what? I've been there. He can tell guys about when a culture unravels. He was there when Jim Harbaugh kind of ended up had kind of a falling out in San Francisco. He can talk about a coach coming in and wanting to implement his system, like he was in San Francisco when Kyle Shanahan did his thing. He was there from the very beginning when it came to the DeMeco Ryans start of his coaching career. He was there in 2017, so he's been with DeMeco Ryans every step of the way. San Francisco had already become home to him. He can go up to Derek Stingley and say, hey, I know what it's like to be a first-round pick and maybe things not go as well as you'd hoped in year one. He can do it to Kenyon Green too, and talk about finding their way. He can go up to someone that maybe has to change positions and talk to them about that. Like his experience in a decade, you can't teach. You can't teach the experience that he has. And I think it's going to be most beneficial as we talk about the intangible value on top of the on-field value, it's going to be real beneficial with the culture, which doesn't necessarily expire once Jimmie Ward leaves. Jimmie's on a 2-year contract. If you listen to how people talk about DeMeco Ryans, and we can go to Super Bowl Media Day this year. You had Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox talking about the impact that DeMeco Ryans had on their careers when they were young. He showed us how to be a pro. He talked about all the lessons that he learned, being battle tested, how to last, all that type of stuff. That's the value Jimmie Ward can have with Derek Stingley and Jalen Petrie. He can be the guy on the field who provides the upgrade. He can be the guy that's, telling them where they need to go. But he can also be the guy that shows them, this is what DeMeco wants. This is how he wants it. I made this mistake. Don't make that mistake. Oh, you're feeling this way. I've been through that. So the on-field value, the intangibles, the culture, you can't make up this type of value. Jimmie Ward's going to be a very, very valuable asset to this squad. And the other thing, the final thing, the whole vibe of Jimmie Ward. If you heard the press conference yesterday, you had to have loved hearing Jimmie Ward. He's always been pretty entertaining on social media. We saw him get in the fight with DeAndre Hopkins, kind of throw him down, talk about being a dog. He's going to bring the dog mentality, and he's going to add all types of value from an on-field perspective, from an intangible perspective, to a culture perspective, to a vibe perspective. So I go back to the beginning of this video talking about the value of Jimmie Ward. Any area that you want to measure it, upgrade on the field, leadership, battle-tested intangibles, and the overall vibe, this is going to be a very, very, very pivotal piece for DeMeco Ryans moving forward. And quite frankly, you might not even be able to see a lot of the value that Jimmie Ward brings. This has been The Locker Room. Subscribe, like, appreciate everyone for coming through. Fun times are around, fun vibes, no matter what happens when it comes to the Texans, though. Just remember, we're all in this together. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, it's The Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Local live.